Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us for this afternoon's presentation. My name is Emily from the Let's Put Our Cities on the Map team. We've got a great lineup ahead of you for this workshop, so I hope you're excited. So what we've got on deck for today, first Whitney, my colleague in Iowa, she's going to walk you through how to get your business on Google Search and Maps for free. And one important thing I want to mention about her presentation is that we will be able to offer you the ability to get on Google Maps within the next 24 hours or so. So it's a really great benefit that we're offering for you because you've joined us for this workshop today. Once Whitney's done presenting, she's going to hand it over to Stasia, our teammate in Tennessee, and Stasia is going to walk you through how to grow your business online and a bunch of really great tools and products to enable you to do that. So a couple final things that I wanted to mention before we officially get started. The first one is that we're going to be covering a lot of material. So I don't want you to feel like you have to follow along and actually do what we're presenting. So instead, feel free and watch the presentation and write down any notes that you have during the presentation. Because after Stasia is done presenting, we're going to be hosting a live text Q&A. So please let your workshop host know what your questions are. That way, during the Q&A, we'll be sure and answer them following the presentation. So with that, I want to kick it over to Whitney in Iowa. Enjoy.
Thanks, Emily. All right, I'm really excited to help you get your business found on Google Search and Maps today with this really great tool called Google My Business. It's free and it shouldn't take you very long to set up, so I'm quickly going to walk you through those steps with how you should actually go about inserting your information and verifying that you are the business owner for your listing. And then I will kick it over to Stasia, like Emily said, who's going to tell you about how you can further grow your business online with some other really great tools. So Google My Business is really great. Like I said, it's free and it's very quick to set up, and then all you have to do is make sure that anytime your hours are updated or changed, or if you revise your menu or take some photos, you just want to jump on into Google My Business, sign in with the username and password that you will create today, and update that information and keep it updated, because your customers want to know when they can find you, what your hours are, where they can find you, what your address is, how to call you on the phone, and just a little bit about your business. Maybe they want to write reviews, maybe they want to see some photos. So that's what Google My Business is going to get you, and I am really excited to help you get set up. All right, so first thing is first, customers will be able to find your business on Google Search with Google My Business. So right now you should be able to see a search result, a search engine results page, and you can see this information about Dandelion Chocolate. You can see that they have these hours. You can see their phone number right there. That is just a Google My Business listing. So when someone searches for them on Google Search, they can actually see that information right there in the search results page. Next thing they can find you on is Google Maps. So Google Maps is the most important part of Google My Business. Your customers want to know where to find you. So they can just go to Google Maps. They want to find businesses that are near them, that are in their vicinity. They're going to type for a business like yours or what you have to offer, and then they'll see results like this one, again, for Dandelion Chocolate, and you can see there's a quick button to get those directions. You can actually learn more about this business by clicking on the link to their website. Again, phone numbers, some reviews, and some photos. So it's a free tool to get found on both of those places, which is great, and you'll also be able to be found when a customer is searching for you on mobile devices. Oh, I jumped ahead a little bit. So what we learned is that a lot of customers are searching on mobile devices. This year, 2015, was the year that more customers were searching from mobile devices than they were from desktop computers. So what does that mean for you, the business owner? Well, it means that you have to work extra hard to make sure your customers can find you where they're searching, and that this year is mobile devices. So you want to make sure that your website is mobile friendly and that you create a Google My Business listing, because they're automatically ready to go for mobile devices, and customers can easily use their mobile device to see that quick information about your business that I just mentioned. Click to call your business, click to actually go into Google Maps and get step-by-step directions to your business, read those reviews right from their mobile phone. So that's why it's such a great tool. A lot of people are searching on mobile devices, and with Google My Business, you're ready to go for those customers that search for you while they're at the train station or that search for you while they're at the coffee shop from those mobile devices. All right, next slide. So we are going to now get you set up on Google My Business. So the first thing I want you to do, and again, Emily said this is meant to be more like a lecture style. So I'm going to walk through the steps really quickly, and what I'd love you to do is just take notes, follow along as I present the material, and then when I'm finished presenting and when Stage is finished presenting, then you'll have these great notes and you'll have all the materials you need to actually walk through the steps yourself. I know everybody works at different paces, so it was a bit too tricky to time out for me to pause and give people time to work with me. So I'm just going to breeze through them quickly, and you can, again, get your questions, follow-up questions answered with our text Q&A in the partner community. All right, so the first step is to find out if your business shows up on Google. So if you go to gybo.com, so that's the first thing you want to write down, gybo.com/business, you can actually type in your business name and find results for how your business shows up on Search and Maps currently. So you're going to actually see, it's going to diagnose your business is what we call it, and give you recommendations on how to improve that presence. So you might see a couple results, and here I'm showing you two different results. You could see, nice job, you're on the map, which means your business is already verified on Google My Business. Well done, that's really exciting. That means all you have to do is go into Google My Business, log back in, and make sure everything is completely updated and optimized, and then you are set. If you get a result that says your business info is incomplete, then that means you are not yet verified as the business owner or the manager for this page, and you need to walk through the steps to verify that you are the person in charge of making these updates for this business. Once you do that, you'll have full control over what your customers see when they look at your business online. All right, so if you don't see either of these, and instead, when you typed your business name into that diagnostic tool, you didn't see your business at all, that is okay. Just click on Not Showing Up, and you'll just have to start from scratch. There won't be some pre-populated information and text already written for you. You'll just have to put that in yourself. But it's not a big deal, so either click on Not Showing Up if you don't see yourself. If you see that your business info is incomplete, you're going to want to click to get on the map, and let me congratulate you, because that's a really exciting first step. And then thirdly, if your business is already on there, woo woo, you definitely get a congratulations as well. Thanks for being already on the map and making sure your local customers can find your correct info. And all you have to do is click that blue button to edit your info. All right, jumping along. So the next thing you'll do is select your business or add it. So if you might not see this step, you might have already just taken you directly into start editing your business information, but if your business was not showing up, or if your business information was not complete, or if there are multiple businesses with your name, you'll see this list and you'll have to click on the business that, or the information that describes your business, so whichever one you think is your business. If you do not see your business listed, not a problem at all, just click on Add Your Business. So if you see the bottom of that list, it says none of these match, click to add your business. So you can find your business or click to add it, and then it'll take you to the next page, which will have you start to fill out and populate that information that your customers will see when they do a search on Google or Google Maps and find this listing. So make sure that you put in your street address and your city, your phone number. Category I want to talk about really quickly. So a lot of business owners I meet, they're frustrated because there's not a category that describes their business, and you do have to start typing in a category or a keyword and choose from a pre-populated drop-down list that pops up. So you can't just insert a category that's not there. You have to find one that describes your business. If you cannot find one that describes your business, and try a few things, type in a few different keywords. For example, we have here bakery, so you just start typing in and then you see that drop-down list appear with options to choose from. Try a few different options, and if you can't find anything that perfectly describes your business, that's okay. Find something close, and then I'll tell you in a few more steps how to add an introduction about your business and fill out description and information and use those keywords and categories so that customers can read that and know exactly what you have to offer. So it's okay if you can't find a category that is perfect, just find something close. All right, the next thing I want to do is call out anybody that works from their homes. So if you work from your home or you have a service area business, please raise your hand. All right, I can't see you, unfortunately. I would love to be able to see you. Hopefully, and I imagine a few people did raise your hand, you can still get on Google My Business. We still want you to be found by local customers. It's still really important that you have this free tool. So if you are a home-based business, what you're going to do is you're actually going to set a service area. When you fill out this information, you'll have to put in your home address because we'll have to be able to reach you and send you information in the future with any changes. But you have the ability to hide that home address from customers searching. So again, if you're a home-based business, get your pen poised to take notes for these next few steps, because here's how you will hide your home address and set a service area. So you're going to check mark the box that says, I deliver goods and services to my customers at their locations. So for example, a plumber might not have a storefront. They would have a website, but they do serve customers locally. So they would want to hide their home address and check, I deliver goods and services to my customers at their location. When you check mark that box, an additional box will open up, and you should be able to see that box. It says, my business deliver goods and services to customers within this area. And then you can either choose a radius around your home address that you serve, maybe 60 miles around this home address, 30 miles, wherever you would go to work with a customer. Or you can set a city or zip codes. So I live in Des Moines, Iowa. I'm coming at you from Des Moines, Iowa right now. So I might put in Des Moines, I might put in Ankeny, I might put in Altoona. So I would put in a few cities surrounding where I'm at, and then you can click continue. So a service area or a list of cities. If you check mark the box that says I also serve customers at my business address, that will put your address on the map. So go ahead and leave that one blank and just click continue. So that is how you hide your home address and set your service area. All right, the next thing you need to do is confirm your business. So make sure that information looks good and check mark the box that says I am authorized to manage this business and I agree to the terms of service. So go ahead and click again blue continue after you've hit that check mark, and you will see the option to mail me my code to start the verification process. So what is the verification process? What do I mean about verifying that you are the business owner? Well, we would not let just anyone manage your business information online. So what we do is we want to verify that you're you. So we send you a PIN code in the mail, or if you have the option, we call you with a PIN code, and that way we verify that you're actually at the business address or the business phone and can say that you are the manager for that page and get that PIN code. Since you are at a partner-hosted workshop for Let's Put Our Cities on the Map, we actually offer you expedited verification. So click this button to mail me my code. You definitely need to do that to generate your code, but then you can ignore that postcard when it comes because your partner is going to tell you how to get your business verified right away today at the end of this workshop. So again, click mail me my code, but at the end of this presentation I'll give you a URL that you can type in to get instant verification, and your partner will help you do that as well. So we hope you're excited because that means you're going to be live on Google Maps right away. All right, the next thing we want to chat about is, again, request this PIN. Just follow through these steps, but then when the postcard comes, you can ignore it. So just click through the blue buttons to continue. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about Google My Business. So Google My Business is this great dashboard where you can manage your presence across Google properties. So for example, what do I mean by that? I mean today you'll have to log in with your Google account or your Gmail account when you first start creating your page. And then every time you use that username and password to log into this account, to your Google My Business account, you'll be able to manage your presence across Google Maps, Google+, whatever else you hook up, what other Google properties you link to this page. So you could link AdWords Express, you could link Google Analytics. So I'll tell you a little bit more about those, but first I want to give you instructions for how to complete your business profile, because when a customer does a search for those local businesses, they want to find more information than just your phone number. I mean, the phone number is really important, and the correct address is equally really important for those customers getting directions, but they also want to read maybe like a few lines of description about your business, and they probably want to have the option to click through and learn even more about you by visiting your website. or they might want to have the opportunity to see some photos. So this red edit button, and I know it's kind of confusing because all the other buttons are blue, but this red edit button will take you to a place where you can adjust that information. So click edit, and here you see a bunch of options that you can edit. So you can edit your contact info, you can add more categories, you can edit your hours here, and hours we're finding are very important, so if you can, add those in, and then you can add some photos, but the most important part, in my opinion, is the introduction. We want to make sure that you have a few sentences that describe your business, so when a customer finds this page and reads about you, they know right away what kind of business you are and what you offer. So think about a few lines using those keywords, using those categories that describe your business. Use complete sentences. I was an English teacher for a few years, high school, so make sure you use good punctuation and grammar and spelling and complete sentences, because Google won't do that for you, and whatever you put in here will be on Google Maps. So I would suggest doing something like, my business is a plumbing service. We've been servicing Des Moines, Iowa for the past 5 years. We offer customers X, Y, and Z. So complete sentences, very clear, describes your business and involves a few keywords or categories that a customer might type in when they're searching for a business like yours. All right, so that was my suggestions for writing an introduction. The next thing I want to chat about is just the opportunity to add business photos. So this is a new offer. It's really cool. What you can do is make sure that your profile photo is there. You have a photo for your logo if you have one, or you can leave that blank, and your cover photo is there. So what is that? And you can also add some interior photos and exterior photos. So that's really cool. That just means that customers have the ability to see a little bit more about your business, and you can understand where those photos are going to appear. It used to be that you would just upload 5 photos and you didn't know which one would be the profile photo, which one would be down below, if any would be the cover photo, and now you can actually set those. So the profile photo will be kind of like smaller square in the corner of your page, and your cover photo will be big along the whole top like a headline. So think about what you might want customers to see in both of those. I think it depends on the tone that you'd like to set for your business and what your business offers. But a lot of times customers like to see a storefront somewhere if you have a great visual of your storefront. So if they're getting directions, they know where to find you. If you don't have a storefront, then maybe just some pictures of your service that really shows customers what you're offering. So think about how you want to be portrayed and insert those photos so that your customers can absolutely see exactly what you want them to see as the business owner. All right. From Google My Business, you can manage Google Plus, like I said. So if you want to use the social side of Google My Business, I would strongly encourage posting a few times and adding some videos. It'd be great if you could work it into your social media plan, because if a customer finds your business on Google Maps and clicks through to read more about you or to visit your Google Plus page, it'd be great if there was some content there that they could read and look at that helps them get to know your business a bit better. So think about incorporating Google Plus into your social strategy, because they will be able to see that from Google My Business from Google Maps. All right, the next thing is insights. You can actually learn some data about this page. So you can see when a customer finds you based on certain keywords, how often you're being found. You can see where they're coming from. You can see if the majority of your customers are searching for you or finding your Maps listing from a few miles away, from 30 minutes away. So a lot of good information there that you can use to think about your marketing strategies. Maybe you want to use some AdWords Express, so customers finding you on Maps will be able to find you even easier. All right, and reviews. You can respond to reviews from Google My Business. You can link your AdWords account, like I said, and see that, and click right into that AdWords account from your Google My Business page. So with reviews, I get a lot of questions on reviews. Business owners want to know about what they should do about reviews. I understand negative reviews happen. It's a frustrating part of the process. A customer doesn't have a good experience. You want all customers to have a good experience, and then of course there's the one that sneaks by and they leave you a negative review. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do. You can report it if you think that it violates policies, but likely Google's going to keep it there because customers are going to want to read about that experience. What I recommend you doing is first responding to that review, just showing that reviewer and future customers that you worked to solve this problem or to give this person a better experience. That's the first piece of advice I have. The second piece of advice I have is start to encourage happy customers to leave reviews. So that might be kind of funny. What I mean by that is when a customer leaves happy or when they subscribe to your email newsletter, just tell them exactly where they need to go to write reviews. So you could just say, hey, don't forget to write me a review. That would help. But what would be even better is if you emailed them a link to your Google Maps listing where they could easily type in that review. So make it very easy for them. Tell them where you want them to write a review and make sure they know that you want them to do that. And then those negative reviews will hopefully get overwhelmed with positive reviews. So those are my two pieces of advice for reviews, and I'm sure Stasia probably has other things she'll talk about during Grow Your Business Online. So to return to Google My Business, so today I wanted you to start at gybo.com/business. That is where you're going to start because that's where that diagnostic tool is. So you're going to type in your business name there and you're going to get those recommendations from Google on how to improve your presence. That's where you should definitely start today. But tomorrow, moving forward, anytime you want to make updates, you can go directly into your Google My Business listing. Make sure you have your username and password handy just by visiting google.com/mybusiness. So google.com/mybusiness will help you every time you want to log in and make those changes moving forward. But today, start at gybo.com/business to use that diagnostic tool. Hopefully that's helpful. All right, lastly, make updates on the go with the mobile app. Be sure and download the app for mobile because we learned everybody's searching on mobile, so I'm sure you guys are too. So download the app and you can make easy updates whenever and wherever you need to, and you'll have that app ready on your phone. One of the great things I love about apps, and my phone is password protected, so only I can get in there, but I have my username and password already logged in, and that way I can click in an app and I don't have to remember my username and password. I already have that app open. But if you do that, make sure to set a password code on your phone so nobody could just come in and use your apps. All right, so check those apps out and download them so you can manage your Google My Business listing on the go. So to verify your business, I'm going to skip these slides because we're going to verify you today on the spot, so you don't need to know what to do when your postcard comes. You can just throw it away. All you need to know is that after you walk through these steps, you can get your business verified. We'll actually get your business verified by visiting gybo.com/verify-my-business. And again, you need to walk through all of these steps before you can fill out that form. You need to make sure to click to send your postcard, because if you don't actually click to send it, it won't generate a code, so we won't be able to verify it for you today. So walk through all of these steps, and then you'll go to gybo.com/verify-my-business to fill out some quick info, and we can get you verified and live on Google Maps today. And your host partner has that information as well. So if you don't remember that URL or you didn't write it down fast enough, no worries. You can get it, and we'll give it to you again later too. All right, thank you so much. I'm really excited that all of you are taking this step to get your business on the map and get found by your local customers. It's really important that all of our customers can find up-to-date, correct information about our local businesses so that our local economies continue to grow and get stronger. So thanks for taking that step. Good luck. And now I'll pass it over to Nashville, Tennessee, where Stasia is ready to tell you how to grow your business online.
Thank you, Whitney. Hey, y'all. How you all doing today? I got to tell you, it is beautiful here in Nashville. Spring has sprung, but allergy season is upon me. So if I need to stop and take a drink of water, please pardon me over the next hour. So as Whitney said, I'm here from Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, USA, and I don't usually there's music here all the time. I don't always get really excited, but I've got to tell you, last night I saw Stevie Wonder perform. It was the most amazing concert I've ever seen. So if he's coming to your town, highly recommend it. But anyway, I digress. Let me get back into the presentation. So I'm Stasia. I'm going to be giving you an overview of a lot of different tools that can help your business grow online. Many of them are free. Some of them are tools that you would pay to use, but we'll go through them. Now, not every single tool is going to be appropriate for every single business, but I'm pretty sure that there will be at least one here in this group that can help you grow your business online. So Let's go forward to the next slide. So you should all be able to see. Here we are. So here's the agenda for what we're going to be talking about for the next hour. We're going to be talking about, first of all, the basics of how a business can be found on Google, because before we can talk about ways to improve upon that, we need to know how to actually get that business to appear on Google, or how that Google's actually looking for them. So, oops, let me hit play again. My drive got mad. Okay, the second thing that we need to do today is we're going to look at how you can get unique insight. We can see how people are finding our website. We can see how people are searching Google in general. We can see when people are writing about us online, all with free tools from Google. The third topic will be talking about getting more productive using a product called Google Apps for Work. And so I'll explain how it works, what it is, and how you might be able to apply it to your business today. And then we'll wrap all this up with a recap at the end, and then we'll open it up for a Q&A. So if any of you have questions, you can write them down during the presentation, and we will be on hand to get any more specific details that you might need. Okay, so let's start talking about why it's important to be found on Google. The estimate is that every single day, globally, there are at least 5 billion searches on Google. That's a crazy number of searches, isn't it? If you think about it, even if the smallest percentage of that is a search for your business, your products, your service in your area, then that is your moment. That's the chance where you can appear. In fact, Google's data shows that 1 in 5 searches is in fact local. So we know that people are looking for things in specific places. So if I do a search, let's just say I'm trying to find, you know, a bakery. I love the bakery example. Actually, it's coming up because my daughter is turning 11 this week. So I am in the market for a bakery. I do a search for Nashville Bakery, and there's a great bakery that's right down the road, but if they don't have a listing on Google with Google My Business that Whitney just talked about, if they don't have a website, if they don't appear on Google, they're digitally invisible. And in that case, they're losing a really valuable opportunity to appear to an audience that wants to find them right now at this moment in time in this location. That's why being found on Google and advertising on Google and appearing on Google is so different than traditional advertising. We used to call this the spray and pray approach, where we would put our ads anywhere someone would potentially see them. That might be a billboard on the side of the road. That could be in a magazine, in a newspaper. But now with search engines, we have the capability of targeting an ad based on what someone's actually typing in. So what they type in tells us what they're in the market for, which really puts us as business owners in a very unique position to show them what we have at the moment that they're actually looking for us. So what I'm going to talk about here is how search works. Then I'm going to cover SEO, or search engine optimization. I'll give you some tips for promoting your website. Then we'll talk about search engine marketing, and then finally your website on multiple devices. And that's just the first section of today's presentation. So with that, let's get started. So why do you even care about this? I think we've started to lay the groundwork about why this is important. But in basically every single consumer is now using the web to find local goods and services. That's where everyone starts. There was this concept in advertising called the first moment of truth. And the way the idea behind this was that when a consumer walked into a store or met with somebody for the first time, that was their first moment of truth. The first moment of truth was seeing all of the products on the shelf. I mean, if you think about the cereal aisle in a grocery store, you think about how much effort goes into the boxes and the packaging. That is really trying to take advantage of that first moment of truth when you're looking at all of your options right there on the shelf in front of you, and the one that looks the most appealing is the one that you might take. Now, the internet has changed all that. Now we have what we call the zero moment of truth. The zero moment of truth precedes that. Now it's when someone grabs their tablet, their smartphone, their computer, and they start doing searches about what options are available to them. They start doing price comparisons. They start reading customer reviews. They look and find product specifications. So we have a very different consumer these days. many times now the consumer will come and they will know all of the things that you might have been prepared to tell them during the sales pitch. Now it's your job to close the sale. So we really need to start thinking about our websites as a potential first point of contact for a customer and our business. So I'm going to give some homework assignments today. One homework assignment that I'd like you to do is to really kind of take a step back and take a hard look at your website and figure out, well, what is it that I want someone to be able to do when they visit my site, and how easy is it to actually do that? And if it's not, that is a signal to you that you need to do some work to try to improve the experience to make your website more successful for your business. Okay, so I think we've established that it's important to be found online. Let's talk about how Google search works. And so when someone goes to Google, they want something. They want to find something. They want to learn something. They have a symptom that they're trying to diagnose. There's something at the top of their mind. So what they're going to do is they're going to type in those words at the very top, and that is called the search query. And that can be a word. It's typically a phrase. Many search queries now are 5 or more words, and they can be very, very specific. Now, here's another assignment for y'all. I want you to start thinking about what someone who's interested in your business's products and services might be likely to type into Google. That might be the name of your business. That might be the names of your products and services. That might be the type of service or the type of product that you offer. It might be the problem that they're trying to fix that your product can help them with. So start thinking about how someone who's likely to buy from you, what they might be typing into Google. And that is sort of a working list for you. That's your list of queries where your hope is that if someone typed that into Google, you would then have an opportunity to appear when someone did that search. So let's look at the next page. What we see here, these are the organic results. Now the organic results, that's sort of Google's special sauce. So what happens is someone puts in their search query, and then in milliseconds, Google's going to go through its index of web pages. It's going to look at every web page that it knows about, and it's going to, on the fly, construct a web page with a list of results just for you, just for that searcher. So if I did a search in Nashville, Tennessee, I would likely see something very different than if someone did a search in Boston, Massachusetts. That's why Google is the top search engine, because by consumers, people, this is a search engine that we need to go to get this information. This is the place that is consistently giving us the best set of results based on what we're looking in this location at this moment in time. Now, this arrow that you see is pointing towards the organic results. And the organic results are free for the website. So if you see here the list in the middle here, if someone went and clicked on one of those websites, it doesn't cost any money to send that person to that website. So it's free to be here. It doesn't cost any money, but it's very competitive because everyone wants their website to appear in the organic results. We'll talk about search engine optimization in a little bit to talk about some strategies that can help your website appear higher in every other person who wants to appear. Okay, the next page that we're looking at here, these are the paid advertisements, and you can see them at the top of the search engine results page and in the column. Now, these are served up by Google's advertising platform, AdWords and AdWords Express. And unlike the organic listings, you do potentially pay for appearing in these places. I'll get into a little more detail about how it works, but find that these are two very separate areas of the page. The organics are separate from the advertisement sections. It does not help you in the organic results. If you advertise, it's not going to improve your results in the organic listings. So they're really two separate entities. But it gives you basically two opportunities to appear on the same search engine results page. That's why you'll see some businesses that may be the first when someone does a search, but they also have advertisements because they want to have as many opportunities to appear on a page as they can. All right, so let's talk about search engine optimization to get started, SEO. Everybody here wants this, right? So I can't see your hands. I don't know how many of you are out there, or maybe millions of people. But if millions of people are out there waving their hands saying, I have received an email from a company that said, I can guarantee you first place on Google search engine results. Well, problem with that is that no one can actually guarantee you any specific position on Google. There are companies that can help. They can do things to help Google find your website and understand what it's about, SEOs, but nobody can guarantee you any position. Ultimately, that's up to Google's algorithm. And the companies that are offering to do these services are going to do different variations of the same things, many of them that you can do yourselves if you want to put the work in. You want to be as engaging as you can. Use content on your site as frequently as you can. Now, the next question that I get is, well, how often does that need to be? And as your business owners, you're wearing hats, you may not have time right first a day to update your site. But the more frequently you put content into your site, the better results you'll probably get from Google and other search engines. Now, at the very beginning of today's session, I had you write down a list of words and phrases that you would hope that your website would appear if someone did a search. So that can sort of be your to-do list. You can take that list of words and make sure that your website has information about them. So if the query is, my daughter is a Doctor Who fan, and she really is excited about getting a cake with a TARDIS on it. And so if I was a bakery and I had that product, you know, Doctor Who custom birthday cakes, I would want to make sure that I had information about that on the website so that when I was doing a search for it, then Google would say, aha, look, Stacia wants to find a page, and so we'll show it here in the search results. So that's where you're going to incorporate those important, and keeping it up to it's not that you necessarily visit your site every day, but you want to come back, and maybe it's season and people are looking for information that you might have, and now's a really a good time, and they go to your site. So think about what could be useful for your customers and keep adding to your site. Keep it up to date, and this can help you improve your search engine optimization efforts. Let's talk about the first tool from Google today. It's called Webmaster Tools. It is free. You can access it at google.com/webmasters. And in a nutshell, Webmaster Tools gives you data, tools, and diagnostics for a healthy, Google-friendly website, meaning that Google can find it, Google understands what the website's about, can read the words, understand the context of that site. It has all these different reports that basically gives you a snapshot to show you how Google sees your site. So going back to our bakery example, if we went and we looked at our reports and none of the keywords that we saw in the reports had to do with the bakery, that would be a really clear signal that we had to work on our site because Google isn't understanding what it's about. So Webmaster Tools is a very handy feature. It also has the option to submit a sitemap. A sitemap, it's not for humans, it's actually for search engines, but it helps Google and search engines understand the structure of the pages on your site. And the way I like to Google Webmaster and some recommend that you do to your search engine efforts. Okay, last but not least, okay, we are going to talk about setting realistic expectations. So with your search engine optimization campaign, one thing to keep in mind is that it's not going to suddenly magically overnight get your website listed to the top. In fact, that's not really what you want. As you start building up your site, as you start content and adding more about these important keywords, getting people to come and visit your site and link to it, over time, your website should start to improve in the search engine results. It may take weeks or months, in some cases even years. It depends on how many other web pages are basically competing for that same search query, that same set of keywords. But the more you put into your site, the better results you'll get over time. Okay, so that's my spiel on SEO. Let's talk a little bit about some tips. Now that I've told you it's going to take a long time, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, my website might not show up for years. What do you do in the meantime? What are other ways that you could potentially expedite? One of the most cost-effective ways to website who had provided their email addresses to existing customers, prospects, people you meet at trade shows. As you start emails, you really cool things with email marketing software. The thing that you can do is you can actually personalize offers based on what you know about people. So for example, if you have two groups of customers, and let's just say you have a lawn care service, and you've got folks that do folks that have their grass cared for, and then you've got another set of folks that have irrigation systems that are managed. If you have that information divided, you can actually email specific offers to the right people. So you could send a coupon for the irrigation services or for the lawn care. So email marketing is giving you a lot of those options, and it's also very trackable. So now you can see not only are people getting the email, but do they open it and what do they click on. So you can get a lot of really good insight from that. Social media is another important factor in promoting your site. You'll hear a lot about it pretty much everywhere. Social, social, social. My colleague Nicole the other day about how social media did help a local business. I think it's a pretty funny example. She was talking about a business in Chicago, Illinois that opened up a pizza parlor. And as you can imagine, there are many pizza parlors in Chicago. And so this business was trying to get off the ground and trying to build up its social media presence. And so it started a Twitter feed, and it was inviting people to follow them on Twitter. And once a week they would draw. That person could eat for free on Twitter. Well, in front of the store, and every Tuesday you eat free. Patience Evan, you eat free. And eventually, it became so popular that. Oops, ping me the drop. Hang on one second. We're going to have. I think we might having to be turning this over just because my internet connection is a little bit slow. So bear with me for 1 second here. I am going to be pinging Emily the link to my presentation. I'm sorry if you can't hear me, but I'll keep talking. So anyway, can you hear me now?
Yeah, of course we can hear you now just fine. Ping the presentation though, so I can take over when you cut out again.
Sure, no problem. Here it is coming to you in just a sec. So within about a week, so the radio and the newspaper or the local television station picked up the story of this pizza parlor, and then overnight they had 15,000 followers on Twitter because everyone wanted the free pizza. So it's kind of hilarious how that all happened, and poor Evan no longer gets his free pizza. So anyway, that's just one way to show how you can use social media to sort of promote your business. Okay, hold on, I'm about to send a link to my colleagues. Bear with me for 1 second just in case we get disconnected. I lost my power completely earlier last week. We've had storms. Here it is. Thank you, Emily. Okay, back to it. Giving an incentive to visit you online. So I don't mean that you would pay someone to visit your website. That's not what we're talking about here. But what I'm talking about is really starting to think in advance about what would give somebody a reason to return to your site in the future. And this is going to help you shape your site. It's going to help you write your content. What is it that would give me a reason to return after I came there the first time? Because that's an important part of SEO. So start thinking about a content plan, a content strategy. And it doesn't have to be really difficult or complicated. Maybe it's once a week I'm going to put up a picture of a really great product that I made, or a really great house that I landscaped. Something that has to do with your business that can help grow that content on your site. And last but not least, invite those happy customers to recommend your site. As Whitney previously talked about with reviews, it's important. A lot of people now are looking to see what others say about businesses in order to do business with them online. Now, again, you can't stop everyone from writing a negative review. So, some people will say, well, do a good job. But, some people just, they'll never be happy no matter what you do. But the way I think about this is that it's essentially customized or publicized customer service. So if you think of it in the way that, so if someone has a complaint, but if you as the business owner respond to them and address that question online, it's really showing that you're paying attention to your customers. And so that's one of the best ways that I've found to handle online reviews. Okay, so let's talk about search engine marketing, or SEM. This is a pay-per-click model, or PPC. And PPC, it basically means that you're not going to pay for the privilege of showing an ad on a page. You are going to pay when someone takes that next step and actually clicks on the ad. And it's really nice because now you as the advertiser can basically hand-pick the words and phrases that you believe are relevant to your business and choose which ad you want to then display when someone does that search. So that's sort of the premise of how it works. We've got two options, AdWords and AdWords Express. They both work in basically the same way. Someone wants something, they want to find something, they want to learn something, so they type that search query into Google. Then Google shows them a web page with all of the results, and then if somebody clicks on that ad, it takes that person to the website. Now, the most important takeaway from this slide is that Google's job is basically to deliver leads. Google's job is to trigger an ad when someone searches for those keywords and show your ad on that page and then send them to the page on your website. At that point, it is up to you, the business owner. It is your job and your website's job to actually close the sale. Because you might have the greatest ad in the world, but if I get to your website and I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, that can be a problem. So make sure that your website actually effectively closes the deal. Okay, so this slide here is showing AdWords versus AdWords Express. I think this is on my PowerPoint. I don't think it's in the one that pinged for you guys, so can you switch back to PowerPoint for 1 second? If not, I can just run through it. But basically, in a nutshell, they work the same way, except that AdWords Express is automated. So with AdWords, you're going to have to do all the keyword research and find those keywords. But with AdWords Express, Google is basically going to automatically generate a list of keywords for you. So it's really a good solution for people who don't have a lot of time to spend managing their AdWords. You can both show ads on Google Search and on websites and mobile ads, and you can geographically target them anywhere around the world. Okay, let's talk about reaching customers on multiple devices or mobile devices. So forward ahead one slide. Okay, so most people now are using a variety of devices. In fact, I had some friends over to watch a movie last weekend, and I mean, it was like I should have taken a picture of that to put in the slide, because the TV was on, and then one person had a tablet, and two other people had their phones. I had my laptop with me, and so we were all working on multiple devices and multitasking while we watched this movie. That's how the world operates now today. So the takeaway here is that not only do you have to have a website that can close the sale for you, but you have to have a website that can close the sale no matter what device someone is using. So what does that mean, or what does a mobile-friendly website mean? Basically, it means that the website needs to be extremely usable on a smaller screen. By that, I mean it has to be touch-friendly, easy to navigate with fingers. It needs to be easy to read. If your fonts are very small and people are squinting to actually figure out what's going on the page, that's a detriment. People on phones are very action goal oriented. So you really want to think for them, well, if they're coming to my website and they're using a mobile device, what is it that they're trying to do? And how easy can I make it for them to do that? So part of that might be that if you want to show them your phone number, make sure that's at the top of the page. If you need to give them some directions to get to your store, put that at the top of the page. Don't bury it down so they have to scroll down to find that information. You can get lots of info about this at Google's site, google.com/think/multi-screen. And one of my favorite resources there's actually a white paper that Google wrote that has basically 25 tips for making a great usable website. So there's lots of good content there that can help you get started with this. Okay, so that wraps up mobile. Let's talk about getting unique insights. And we'll cover a few products here. I'm going to be talking about Google Analytics. I'm going to be talking about Google Trends, and I'll be talking about Google Alerts. But let's start by discussing why you care about this topic, why this actually matters for your business. So if you think about all of the people who come to your website in a given period of time, they come to your site and presumably you want them to do something. So the question is, well, what is it that you want them to do? And if it's an e-commerce website, the action might be very clear. It might be that you want them to buy something when they get to the site. If somebody has a service provider website, maybe the goal is to have them request an estimate or create an appointment. But you, as the website owner, do need to figure out what it is you want to happen on the site. And that is what we call a conversion in internet marketing. And so what we're going to be trying to do is we're going to be figuring out, of all of the people who visited the website, how many of them are actually completing that conversion. So if you imagine that, say, 2% of all of your visitors actually bought something on your site or made that appointment or requested that estimate, that means that the other 98% left your website without taking that desired action. So this is your low-hanging fruit. These are people that you actually had at your website. And so now what you're trying to do is figure out, well, what can you change? What can you tweak? What can you improve on your website that will push that 2% higher? Because remember, you're trying to increase that conversion rate because that means success for your business. So enter our next tool, which is Google Analytics. And it is a free, powerful analytics tool that shows reports about how people are finding your site, what they do when they get there, and you can use it to track your online and your offline marketing campaigns. It's free. It's at google.com/analytics. Now, this is a really great product. I used to use this back in the early 1990s when it was called Urchin. And we would actually use this for our clients, and it was a very expensive piece of software. Google bought it, and then they made it completely free. So now anyone can use it, and there are millions of businesses, large and small, who use this to manage their web analytics, to see what's actually happening on their websites, and it's free for everyone. So I could teach a 3-day class on all the specifics of Google Analytics, but rather than do that, let's just cover from a very high level, 10,000 feet, 30,000 feet, what Google Analytics can do for your small business. So I want you to think about it as a tool to help you answer business questions. And so the business questions are entirely based on your situation. Maybe you want to know where visitors are coming from. That could be geographically. That could be what other websites on the internet are sending traffic to your site. And you might want to know because maybe you want to target specific ads to different geographies. Maybe you actually want to send physical postcards to specific towns because you can see you're getting a lot of web traffic from there. Maybe you see that there is a website that's sending a ton of traffic to your site and you want to talk to them about a potential partnership. So there are lots of reasons that you might want to know where people are coming from. The next thing that you can look at is to see if your content is actually effective. And so here's an example. You can see what pages on the site people are looking at. One of my favorite examples is a pro bono client that I do work for, and so she was really determined. She knew, she didn't have analytics, but she knew what the most important part of her website was. And I didn't disagree with her, but I did put it out there that before we jumped to any conclusions, we should probably install Google Analytics so we could really see scientifically what people were interested in on her site. And we learned some really interesting and surprising things. We found that rather than looking at the current news, which she thought was the most important, people were actually, the majority of people were entering at a page that had a reprint of a Maya Angelou poem that she had put on the site about 6 or 7 years ago. You couldn't even find it in the navigation. So we learned something really interesting, that this was a page that had been heavily indexed by Google and other search engines. This is how people were finding her. This is the type of content that people were interested in. So we had to make sure that that page never went away. And we wanted to add more Maya Angelou poems and more content about her. And we wanted to make sure that that web page naturally led the person visiting the website into other parts of the site so they hopefully wouldn't just leave. So there are lots of useful things that you can get from these reports. If you have an e-commerce website, you can actually track their e-commerce activity. You can see if they add stuff into their shopping carts and then they abandon it. Probably way TMI about me, but I spend a lot of time waiting for planes in airports, and one of my favorite hobbies is to visit my favorite websites of expensive furniture and put like $2 million worth of furniture in my cart and say, oh, look how nice my house would look with all that stuff, and then I abandon my cart. But what can happen is the person who's running those analytics can actually see the process and see what I did and where I might have potentially stumbled. And maybe that's because the checkout process is too long. Or maybe it's because I added an extra step in there and now all of my conversions dropped by 25%. That's the kind of stuff that you can learn from Google Analytics, and it's free. All of this will help you improve your return on investment and help improve the impact on your bottom line. So that is Google Analytics, and that tells you about traffic on your website. So let's talk about the next tool, which is called Google Trends. Now, this is not looking at your site. This is different. It's a web page at google.com/trends. And what it does is it shows you what searches are popular on Google, how those searches compare in popularity to other searches, and how that interest changes over time. The data goes back to 2004, and you can see on a graph how the relative number of searches for a particular term. It's not going to give you the raw numbers. It's normalized, which means it's scaled down to a percentage scale, 0 to 100%. So if we look here at this screenshot, you can see that we're comparing gluten-free, vegetarian, and vegan. And so if we go all the way back down to 2004, we see that vegetarian was the leading search term, and gluten-free is way down at the bottom. You look at the progression over the years and look how that's changed. Now, gluten-free is the top search query here in this example, followed by vegan, followed by vegetarian. So if you are working on a way to market your vegetarian restaurant, this might help you figure out, well, these are the words that people are looking for. This is the type of offering that I might have to offer in my restaurant, or this is where I may want to focus my advertising efforts. So this is a really handy research tool that can tell you what's going on when people are doing searches online. Now this next page here, I'm going to show, this is the same web page. It's just farther down on the page. And so now we can see regional interest. We can actually look at those terms and see where in the country or whatever region you are actually targeting. Right now we're looking at the US, but I could look at the whole world. I could look at Europe. I could look at a particular state in the US. But it'll show me within my targeted area how the concentrations of traffic, the search volume work. And so if I was an AdWords advertiser, for example, I might see that Colorado is my top state for gluten-free. So that might be a good place for me to advertise, followed by Washington State, followed by Maine, followed by Minnesota. And that's stuff that you might not be able to guess. You actually need to use these reports to figure out what's happening online. The next piece shows you the related searches. And the related searches, it's another handy tool. It's basically Google saying, okay, we know that people who search for gluten-free are also searching for these things. And that can help you build your keyword list. That can help you give you ideas about what sorts of content to add to your website. But this is a handy way to figure out what's going on at Google. All right. Let's look at the next tool, and this is called Google Alerts. Again, it's another web page. It's at google.com/alerts. It is free, and I want you to think of this as your online PR manager. And in fact, I'm hoping that you're all getting lots of good stuff and good information from this presentation, but if there's one thing that I want you to do besides get your Google My Business listing, the second thing I want you to do is to sign up for Google Alerts, because this is a way for you to actively monitor when you're being mentioned online. So basically what you'll do is you'll go here and you'll put in words or phrases that you want to track. You can put in up to 1,000 of them. And so now, anytime Google finds a new web page on the internet that has one of these terms in it, they'll send you an email. They can send it as it happens, once a day, or as a weekly digest. And it'll give you the title of the page, it'll give you a link to it, and a little excerpt so you can get a snippet about what that page actually says. So this would be a handy place to put in the name of your business, your own name, your employees' names, anything that you want to track. It can be your sports teams, your kids, anything. But this is your way to monitor what Google is finding online about you. Google.com/alerts. Okay. Last topic. Let's talk about being more productive. And I'm going to introduce a product called Google Apps for Work. It used to be called Google Apps for Business. It's had a name change. It's the same thing, but it's got even more features. And what I'm going to do is give you a brief introduction to Apps for Work and an overview of some of the software that you can find within it. And you can get here at google.com/apps. So the first thing that I wanted to show you here is that, are you all, Whitney, are you all seeing the cloud screenshot here that says literally a cloud? I just want to make sure that we're displaying it. Okay, excellent, thanks. So don't fall for this. I put this in, this is a really new slide because this, I mean, I'm kind of a geek, so this makes me laugh. But one question that I get from a lot of people who are not, you know, their jobs are not in the internet, so they're not dealing with cloud computing all the time, is, well, where is this cloud? What is this cloud? Because if you've never dealt with it before, it's a pretty good question. And so Google came up with this April Fool's joke from this year where they purported to sell the Google Cloud Platform, and it was literally a cloud, and it's lightweight and fluffy and scalable. In fact, there's not really a cloud. Cloud computing is a way for a large number of computers to work together. So all of your data isn't stored on your computer. I was about to pick up my computer and show it to you, but imagine my computer, which is sitting right down below me. In the way that I used to work, you know, even as early as 5 years ago, 3 years ago, I would basically have everything that was important to me for work on this computer. And then I remember I would spend all this effort. I would be burning backups. I was going to pull out thumb drives. I have all these thumb drives, and I'd be saving backups of all my data, and I'd be burning, you know, CDs and DVDs, and I'd be having, you know, external hard drives that had all my stuff because I was always worried about my laptop getting lost or getting hurt and then losing all of my stuff. Well, cloud computing frees us from that because now I don't keep any of my work on this computer. All of my work gets saved up in Google Apps for Work. And so, as an example, if for whatever reason my internet access decides to die on me again and I get kicked out of this, which I hope doesn't happen, Whitney and Emily, they have access to this presentation because it's in the cloud. So they can go and they can take over for me. That's just, there it is. That's an example of how it can save the day. My sister is a scientist, and she spends a lot of time, not so much now because she's got 2 kids, but a few years ago she would spend a lot of time in the rainforests in the Dominican Republic tracking birds down. And so for her, you know, the cloud was a huge game changer because now she didn't have to walk around clutching a laptop in the rainforests hoping that nothing happened to it. Now she could actually send her data up into the cloud. So it really does change the way that we work. Let's talk about some reasons why you might want to use the cloud or Google Apps for Work. First of all, it's automatically backed up. You don't have to do anything. It's going to save automatically. It's there. In fact, one of the nicest things, in my opinion, is that there's actually a revision history. So if I write something today and Whitney's like, oh, you know, actually, I really liked what you wrote yesterday, she can actually go back and we can revert to other versions of the same document, and it's automatically going to save like that. It's accessible from any device, so whether I'm using my laptop or my tablet or my mobile device, I can get my stuff. As long as I have the username and password, internet access, and a web browser, I can get it. It's really easy to collaborate. I'm going to use this example of today's presentation as a good example. So I'm presenting here from Nashville. If we're having some weather, which I think is contributing to my Comcast problems today, but if the weather doesn't cooperate, that is why Whitney and Emily are going to be able to use Google Apps for Work to save the day and take over the presentation for me. It's private and secure, and it can save money. Hold on, let me go back to private and secure. So it's private and secure as long as your password is not something like password or 123456. In fact, 2014's top list of passwords, the #1 password for last year was 123456. So if you are using any password like that for, you know, your Google Apps for Work account, for your Gmail address, for your online bank, you want to stop. I mean, I don't want you to stop listening to me, but as soon as this session is over, the very next thing that you need to go do is change all your passwords. Because you've probably been hearing the news. You know, it's a real thing these days. So I like to use very secure passwords. I use at least 8 characters, upper and lowercase. I use mixed symbols. Basically, you want to make this as hard as possible for someone to guess. And if I use my daughter's name, everyone's going to know how to get into my account. Okay, that's my public safety announcement on passwords. But if you have a strong password on your Apps for Work account, your data is safe. It can save you money. So if you've been using software that requires upgrades, those upgrades get expensive and you keep having to add more and more. Well, now it's different because all the software happens on the back end. You don't ever have to buy anything else or add anything else to Google Apps for Work. They're going to do that piece for you. All you need to do is do your work and everything happens. The technical stuff happens all on the back end. Okay, so let's talk about some benefits and features. There's a free 30-day trial. So you can try this thing out for free, 30 days. You don't even have to put a credit card in. And if it's not working for you, you can walk away. There's no commitment. There's nothing. That's it. I'm pretty sure that you'll be hooked because once you start using Google Apps for Work and seeing how it can expedite, how it can, you know, really provide you that safety net for your work, I believe you'll probably use it. I completely rely on it at this point. If you use Google Apps for Work, it gives you a lot of storage in Gmail and Drive. A lot of people might be familiar with the fact that with Gmail you can access Google Docs. So what's the difference here? Well, with Apps for Work, you're going to get a lot more storage. You're also going to get a lot more support. There's 24/7 phone and email support, and there's a 99.9% uptime guarantee. If any of you are representing education or government or nonprofits, there are special editions for you. And one little shout out for any nonprofits out there, Google has this fantastic program. It's at google.com/nonprofits, and they give away free stuff for nonprofits, free tools. And I would strongly recommend anyone who qualifies for that to go and check it out at google.com/nonprofits. Okay, so how do these additions compare? I'm not going to read you the entire chart, but let's go through the important bullet points. Basically, It's a matter of storage. There's an unlimited plan, which means you can store as much stuff as you have. In fact, it's an unlimited number of files. And if you have fewer than 5 users, it's actually only a terabyte, but only a terabyte is a lot of storage. For the regular business edition, you get 30 gigabytes of storage, which is still an incredibly huge amount of storage and will be sufficient for many businesses. And the price difference is either $5 a month or $50 a year, or $10 a month, $120 a year. But you can go to the website at google.com/apps to learn more about some of the differences in the plans. And you can always switch to up to a different plan if you want. Okay. So let's take a look at some of the actual apps that are within. We'll talk about Gmail for Business. It's Gmail. Everyone here has used Gmail, I'm going to assume. But what's the difference here with Google Apps for Work? The biggie is that you can actually associate your own domain name. So now it's not going to be an @Gmail address. It'll be an @stasiasbakery.com address. And so it will make you look more professional from the outside. The next thing that I want to show you is the ability to use and collaborate these documents. So do you guys remember, it's kind of like that game of telephone where you stand in a circle and you tell the message and you see how funny it changes as it goes around to different people? Well, that's kind of like how it used to be when we would be sharing and working on a document in the office. I'd make a document, I'd email it to Whitney, then she'd make some changes, and then she'd email it to Emily, and then Emily would email it to Justine, and Justine wanted to make some changes, but oops, she accidentally opened an older version. And so then she sent it back, and we lost all of the changes that we made. Sorry, Justine. Well, that's exactly the kind of scenario that Apps for Work can help us avoid, because now we'll all be working on one document. It's a shared environment where everyone could go in at the same time and work on the same document at the same time. And again, you have that revision history, so you can go back and see what other folks have done and revert to different versions of that document if you need to. And there are all sorts of formats. There's word processing, spreadsheets, drawings, presentations, and you can upload from very popular formats like PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, and you can create in Google Apps for Work and export as those documents as well. So you can use it with whatever software other people are using. Okay. Last but not least, in the Google Apps for Work suite is the calendar. So it's a calendar. So what am I going to say about this, and how am I going to make this interesting? Well, let's show how this all wraps up together beautifully. Let's imagine that I want to schedule a meeting with every single person on this Hangout after today's call. And we've all shared our calendars, our work calendars, so I can see your schedules and you can see mine. And what I can do is I can actually look for appointment slots, and I can find a time when all of us have a free half an hour to meet. And so I can use it to schedule meetings across multiple schedules. Then when I make that calendar schedule, when I make that appointment, I can actually say, well, I want to send everyone an agenda. So I'll make that agenda with Google Docs, and I'll save that in my Google Drive, and then I'm going to attach that to the calendar invitation. So now everyone will have a link to the agenda. Then I'm going to say, okay, well, I want to send everyone a reminder about this, or an invitation and a reminder, and so I can send it automatically through Gmail. And last but not least, I also have the ability to put a link into a Hangout, which is how I'm connected today. So now everyone who's invited can come to the meeting, click on a link, and then join by video call to the meeting. And we can open that agenda that's saved in Google Drive. So that's how this whole suite ties together beautifully. Okay, let's take a look at our resources. Let's wrap this thing up and then get to our Q&A. So we covered a lot of material today. Today we talked about getting found on Google, and we talked about Google's Webmaster Tools. We talked about advertising with Google AdWords and AdWords Express. We talked about the importance of optimizing your website for mobile devices. So some of your to-dos from this list are to go to Google and do a search on words and phrases that are relevant to your business and see what shows up. This is where you want to appear. And this is where you're going to hopefully start optimizing your website. So if you are trying to get your website listed higher on a keyword, start writing and adding more information about that word on your site. Second thing is the advertising, and so go check out AdWords and AdWords Express at google.com/AdWords or google.com/AWExpress. Again, you can try it, and you can run ads for one day, an hour of one day, to see if it works for your business. There's no startup fee, there's no cancellation fee, there's no minimum commitment. It's an easy way for you to very quickly start showing up on Google search engine results pages, because SEO can take a while. And last but not least, grab your phone, grab your friend's smartphone if you don't have one, and take a look at your website. And if it's not easy to accomplish tasks on your website from that device, you know that you have some work ahead of you. Now, the second section was talking about getting unique insights. So go try Google Analytics. It's free. Every website should include this, and you can get to it at google.com/analytics. Try Google Trends and set up Google Alerts. At the very least, have Google send you an email when your name is mentioned or when the name of your business is mentioned online. You can think of it as a way to sort of watch what's happening on the internet about you. Last but not least, we talked about being more productive with Google Apps for Work. And again, some of the advantages, it gives you a professional email, you can access it on any device, and there's a free 30-day trial. And you can review all of these resources. Now, for all the stuff that I talked about today, you do need to have a Google account. So you're presumably all signed in with your Google accounts now, since we're all in the community. But you do have to have a Google account, and that operates as your single sign-on that connects these products. And one thing to keep in mind is that if you are using an account for personal stuff, you have the option, and you may prefer to actually create a separate Google account for all of your business versions of Gmail and AdWords and Google Analytics. But you can make an account for free at google.com/accounts. And the very last slide is a list of all of the resources of all of the products that I talked about today. So if you want to find any of the websites to learn more, you've got this list here. So that wraps it up for me, and I can feel the pollen sitting in my throat already, so I'm excited to go to the online chat Q&A. But I want to thank you all so much for being with us here today. We really, really appreciate you being here with us, and we hope that this was a useful, informative afternoon for you, and that it helps you get the most out of growing your business online with Google's tools. And remember, if you haven't done it, go get your business on the map. So, Whitney, Emily, anything else to add before we head off into the Q&A?
Hi, yeah, thanks, Stasia. I'm so glad that your internet held out, because it truly would have been a bummer if I would have had to present that because you were pro. So thank you for that. All right, with that, businesses, partners, thank you so much for tuning in to this workshop on how to get found on Google Search and Maps and how to grow your business online. We hope you're all very excited to take these tools and then take them for your business to go to the next step with. So, like I said, we have a text Q&A happening in the partner community. So if you still have questions, and hopefully you are ready to get started working on all this stuff, but if you do still have questions, let your partner know, or the host of your workshop know, and they can actually type those into us, and we will respond immediately with an answer for the next 20 minutes. So get your questions to them, and we will make sure you get an answer. And just to remind you, once you insert all of your information and click that verification postcard to get verified on Google My Business, then you can go to gybo.com/verifymybusiness, fill out some quick info, and we will verify your business today. All right, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your afternoon.